You're listening to Potato Pasta, the best stories from the internet narrated by a human. The following prompt was written by ankuprk. Destroying 90% of the human population on Earth, the aliens leave, assuming that society would crumble, and the remaining 10% will all just fight for resources and eventually die out. They returned 1,000 years later expecting a cleansed planet, but were met with a nuclear strike from a satellite. The following response is written by Hell-Kite. They made their presence known through the first strike. Entire cities burnt and leveled, countless lives lost. Our continents were forcefully reshaped under their endless barrage. Our defenses were a mockery of warfare in the face of their technology. As the firestorms charred our world, they left, leaving the few who remained to slowly perish in witness of their might. We were not subsumed by the agony of annihilation. It gave us purpose, focus, and a target. What did another human's color and creed matter when they existed? What did our borders and religions matter to them? We built our foundation in the ruins of our great cities, each body buried, a brick to form our revenge. Survivors worked tirelessly to preserve our years of knowledge and history, our past conflicts read as training for our future. We would reclaim, rebuild, and surpass them. Patience became our greatest virtue. The universe was our anvil, the earth our hammer, perseverance our metal, and 1,000 years of limitless hate our forge. A millennia passed, our society now technologically thousands of years ahead. Fiction made reality. We predicted their arrival and prepared. When scouts of their fleet entered our system, we remained still, patient, and unafraid. The rest of their armada soon followed, gathering near the aphelion of our home, waiting for us to pass, to strike. As Earth approached, the first thing they saw was a relic of our past, a satellite fitted with deprecated nuclear technology. We heard their transmission of confusion. We understood their language. We struck. The universe itself buckled under our strength. Screams of agony and horror filled our transmission feed. As their fleets were swarmed and torn apart, we waited. After mere minutes, a meager tenth of their fleet remained. We tracked their retreat and followed. They would know futility. They would know fear. They would be an example. They would be dust under our will. They had a name, but only we would remember it. The following response is written by True Falsity. The dust settled, and the sole survivor of the fleet, the general, crawled out of the wreckage that used to carry him and the rest of the team. He struggled to remain conscious, but powered through the pain and fatigue. He had to know who hit them. Had to report on whoever took the claim on the world that they... "We got a survivor!" All his 3 hearts stopped beating. An ages-long preservation mechanism built into their bodies. A subconscious defense that their bodies used when they knew they were about to die. The general would have been ashamed of his cowardice were it not so well warranted. Because he was not facing a new enemy that his species could prepare for and squash. Instead, it was the enemy of old, the previous owners of this planet. Humans.
"But how?"
he hissed in disbelief.
"How are you still alive?"
The soldier asked, his smile butter but eyes manic.
"Well, it wasn't quite easy. You certainly did a number on us."
A number? That was one way to put it. As per standards, their fleet wiped out approximately 90% of the population. No chemical or biological weaponry, of course. They didn't want to damage anything valuable on the planet. It took them less than 6 hours to achieve their goals through brutal but efficient usage of their onboard weaponry. And then they left long enough to let the survivors wipe each other out. Having the remains of the planets conquered tear each other apart has proved to do wonders for their history classes, showing their younglings that the occupied planets brought destruction upon themselves, ensured that there were no talks of rebellion.
"You were supposed to destroy each other." "And we did. For a while."
The soldier sat down, a miniature weapon charged and ready at his side.
"Oh, I still get chills from watching the archives." All those decades spent warring with other survivors over what remained, until someone reminded us about an actual enemy.
The man's smile grew wider as he leaned down to him. If he moved fast, the general could rip out his throat and take at least one of them with him to the greater known. But he had to learn as much as he could. Once he was absorbed into the greater known, his memories would be shared with the rest of his species. He would die, but he would help them prepare. Let the foolish human brag and doom his people.
You left us all alone with nothing to go on, really. We didn't know who struck and how. We didn't know anything about you guys at all. But when you are well motivated, well, you just take it as opportunity to prepare for everything.
The other soldiers arrived, armed with all sorts of weaponry, some of which the general shamefully admitted he couldn't even understand the function of, and some of which, to his growing horror, he recognized as the weapons of their enemies and competitors.
We were a vulnerable world for 1,000 years, and in that 1,000 years, there were more than enough other bastards that came and tried to finish us off. We lost a lot of people, but it took us one big victory to learn enough about you all.
The general's body grew colder as his imagination ran wild with all that they could learn.
We scraped every morsel of information and knowledge we could. We baited others into coming here and repeated the process over and over again until we knew enough. Until we knew more about you than you do. Until we learned about your greater known.
The general moved, his blade in his hand, flying to his central heart, a quick death to sound an alarm to his people. His hand was disintegrated, a cruel and painful sound turning his flesh into a puddle of goo.
We knew you would come back one day. We knew that one of you bastards would survive. And we knew that this bastard would be the key. Your greater known lets you share everything one learns through their life cycle. Enough is filtered out and diluted to ensure that nothing is damaged or corrupted. But how much is enough? What's the limit?
The soldier raised his weapon, aimed, and shot. The pain coursed through the general's flesh, reducing him into a screaming and crying mess, but not killing him. No, not killing him.
It takes you around 100 years or so to travel, right? How much pain do you think we can inflict in all that time? How much torture do you think we will send you off with into that greater known?
They were not going to kill him. They wanted to turn him into a weapon, a psychic poison to his species' very soul.
You will not get away with this.
Maybe,
the soldier admitted.
But we already died once. And once you die, well...
The other men picked the general up and carried him along with the soldier.
You just stop caring about consequences.
The following response is written by Remarkable Youth 504. We call it the 80-20 rule. Clean out 80% of the population of a species, and the rest of the 20% dies out on its own. This rule has been in place as long as there has been xenocidal wars in the galaxy. Exterminating an entire species to its last member is not economical. We wanted to find a sweet spot where we can annihilate a species at the lowest expense. Basis in multiple trials and errors, the 80-20 rule was followed. It has never failed. Eventually, however, a mistake was made. A primitive species was found on the third planet from the star in a remote system in the galaxy. In his zeal, the admiral of the quadrant wiped out 90% instead of the calculated 80% of the population. This mistake was quickly noted. The admiral was quickly stripped of his ranks and sent to a penal colony, his incompetence filed away. Everyone forgot about the incident. 1,000 years later, someone discovered this incident in the archives. Determined to make a movie out of the whole incident, The Incompetent Admiral, they sought the help of the Imperial Starfleet to shoot the movie at the site of the actual incident. Our first hint that something was amiss was the massive Dyson sphere around the system that contained the planet. As the scout ship accompanying the movie crew approached the sphere, they were vaporized by multiple nuclear strikes from satellites orbiting the sphere. While this was unexpected, it was not intimidating. The humans had used nuclear strikes in the First War as well. Surprised at the fact that some resistance still remained, we sent in a fleet to seek and destroy whoever remained. Little did we know we were walking into a trap. The humans had used the 1,000 years to reverse engineer our technology and understand our battle strategies. Their first move was designed to draw out a fleet, to measure our current capabilities, both technological and strategic. In this, we were found severely lacking. Now, nearly 200 years after that second contact, we stand at the brink of extinction. The humans do not care about the costs of war. On every planet they have conquered, they have systematically exterminated every man, woman, and child. Even now, while we desperately fight to defend our capital city on our home planet, our last citadel, I hear whispers of camps being set up in the conquered territories, where our captured citizens are systematically massacred. If these are to be my last words, do pay heed. While in Xenocide, do not violate the 80-20 rule. Crossing the 80% threshold apparently prevents a species from dying out. Thanks for sticking with me till the end. If you enjoy my narrations, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you want to know when new videos come out, hit the bell and make sure you select all notifications. I know it's annoying to ask, but it really does help the channel reach more people. Thank you.